At Belize on average, what would like a 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom with a waterfront be? Didn't you have a beach bar?
Yeah.
Oh wow.
You know what Caye Caulker does not have? We don't have somewhere for sushi. If you don't need shoes on Caye Caulker, you need shoes on San Pedro. It was like 35 cents for lime, and then the next day it was 75 cents for lime.
If you're doing a month-to-month rent, it's like 500 US plus. So essentially, if you're buying that land, you have to build commercial.
On Caye Caulker, it doesn't matter if we have tourists that like have money or do not have money. They just want this biking experience.
Hi everyone, I'm Rachel Jensen, broker owner of Luna Realty Belize on the beautiful island of Ambergris Caye.
And hi guys, my name is Giselle de la Fuente, and I'm also the owner and broker of Premier Realty on Caye Caulker, Belize.
Perfect. So Giselle and I have actually known each other
for quite a few years.
It was like 17?
Yeah, we met each other like back in, I think it was
15?
Yeah, like 2017 maybe.
At 2017, and it was actually not in Belize.
No, it was in Austria of all places.
Austria, Vienna, and you were living out there, right?
Yeah, actually I had just gotten a job there, so it had to be like 2015-ish.
Oh my gosh, almost 10 years ago. That's kind of crazy to think about.
Yeah, and we were there because she was working with the ambassador of Belize to Austria.
Yep, and then he's like, oh, there are some other Belizeans here in Vienna. Why don't we bring them all together? And it was the birthday party. Remember he was doing the birthday party for Belize?
Yeah.
And he invited all the other ambassadors to come. And I remember it was the ambassador from Belarus who was at the birthday party for Belize. He's like, don't worry, no one knows where Belarus is either. It's like,
no one knows where Belize is. Yeah, when I was living in Europe, every time I would say, hey, I'm from Belize, it would be like, oh, Berlin. And I'm like, no, I'm not German.
Or Brazil. I remember
Brazil. Yeah. Portuguese. No, don't speak that either.
It's so funny though. We got connected back in Belize, which is funny. That was fairly recently, but time just flies.
So we both opened our real estate companies around the same time, right? Well, I feel like I did open as Caye Caulker Properties, but I still was unsure whether or not I wanted to be like full-time with real estate. Right. And then when I decided to go all in, I think maybe September of 2023, that's when I decided to brand myself as Premier Realty. That way I feel like I'm not limited to only Caye Caulker. Yeah.
Well, and it's awesome too because didn't you have a beach bar?
Yeah, I did.
Which is a fun way to get to know people too. And
it's so much work.
Oh yeah. The bars and restaurants are no joke here. Like,
yeah.
You know, sometimes people come down and like, oh, well, what is your retirement goal or dream? Well, I just want to have a little beach bar where I can spend my days and have my retirement money get invested into. But it's a lot. It's not easy.
It's a lot of work, and you do have to factor in the work culture in Belize, which I did not. Yeah, so that was a big shocker. So I was like, I should stick to real estate. Yeah, and that's when I decided to move away from the bar. So the bar's still open and we have someone managing it, but it's not me.
Great. Well, it makes it a little bit easier too, right? Because then you can focus on other things. And I know like it's so hard, like you were saying, the work culture here, to have that integrated with the vacation culture, right? Especially if you're with vacationers every single day and they're like, Giselle, just take a shot, or Giselle, just do this. And you're like, well, I can't say no to my clients.
Yeah, that happened a lot too.
But it's very time consuming. But I'm glad you're in real estate full time now.
Thank you.
It's awesome. So Giselle is our go-to person in Caye Caulker. Like obviously Ambergris and Caye Caulker, they're like sister islands. Right? Would you call them sister islands? Yeah. And so a lot of times people are looking at both islands if they're not too sure where exactly they want to be, but they're two totally different markets. And we were talking about this before we jumped on. Is like we want to be able to do both, but the reality is they're completely separate and very independent of each other. So Giselle is our go-to for anyone looking at Caye Caulker. If you're tuning into this and listening in, so this is our girl, it's our go-to person.
And I do work with Rachel and Job. I work with both of you guys. I haven't referred someone yet, but I'm working on it. My San Pedro person will come and I'm gonna refer to them. Yeah.
I love it. So we just wanted to talk about like some of the main differences and I guess similarities between the two islands because you know people are looking like, oh, island life, we want to live on an island, and oh, I'm interested in Caye Caulker and Ambergris, but there's two totally separate feels. Yeah. Right, totally different feels to the islands. And like, what would you say? How would you describe life on Caye Caulker? What drew you to Caye Caulker? to live there because you're a young person, right? And I know that it's harder to find young folks on Caye Caulker compared to Ambergris, but it's just
so we have, I feel like we have two main demographics on Caye Caulker. We have super young, like backpacker young, taking a gap year, like 19 to 23, 24, right? They're not looking to buy a property. And then you have like the older crowd, you know, the crowd that's looking to retire or start a business. They tend to be like around 45 plus. That's what I would say. Yeah, but between like ages 24 to 45, you don't get much of that demographic. What about San Pedro?
San Pedro has been such a mix. Like I remember coming out here in 2012, and do you remember that like Skype was non-existent? It was blocked actually, remember? Because of the BTL, they didn't want competition.
I forgot about that. That's crazy.
There wasn't really WhatsApp, and like the cell service was really horrible. It's like $5.99 a minute US to call the States. It was like a very different time, and because of that, the demographic of people here was like retirees, right? There are people who didn't necessarily need to call home all that frequently, and they were here to just retire on the beach at the beach bar.
Wow, that was a very different time.
Very different time. Now we're getting a really good mix, I would say, and it's primarily, COVID brought a lot of younger people down for sure because they were able to work online, but as jobs were requiring people to go back, I'd say the number, the average
dwindled.
Yeah, the average age of people has gone up a little bit, but I'd say we're still seeing 45 plus, about the same. Okay. We don't really get as many backpackers though.
Yeah.
We don't really have, I think Caye Caulker, there's more hostels, right?
Yeah, for sure. I'm not a big part of like the hostel demographic, but I think we have about 4 popular hostels. We have Bella's, Go Slow, Traveler's Palm, and then I'm gonna say 4 because I probably forgot to name one. Yeah.
In here I know there are 2, like Sandbar and Driftin that I know of.
Much
but
at all.
No, it's definitely an older crowd here, and I think it's just a little bit more like luxury. Now it's not like Bahamas or Bermuda luxury. Yeah. Right, but you have more of those luxury condo developments. But Caye Caulker is getting more developments now, right?
Yeah. So I will say that Caye Caulker now has 2 types of demographics, right? So now you're getting buyers that want to stick to the south side and want to stick with what Caye Caulker's charm is now. And then we have the luxury developments that are now starting to take place on Northside Caye Caulker. The only existing condo development, luxury condo development that we have on the north side is Blue Zen, but they have been the trailblazer for subsequent condo developments, which are currently under construction.
How much, like out of curiosity, because prices compared to the 2 islands are totally different, and we can cover like the daily cost of living in a bit, but at Blue Zen on average, what would like a 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom with a waterfront be?
So if you are buying a condo that already exists, and those are going for nothing less than $460,000 US at resale value, right?
Yep.
Yeah, those have already been bought out. And then you have the pre-sale condos that are now going up for phase 4, phase 5, seeing that they're starting at around $350,000 US.
Okay, plus furniture and closing, I'm guessing. So they'll,
I think it's inclusive of furniture, but I'm gonna fact check and I'm gonna put a little note here.
Well, that's really good pricing though.
Yeah,
that's really good.
So I think it's really good,
especially for being on an island with the Caribbean views. Like I think that Blue Zen is most similar to like a Grand Carib or Sunset Carib here, and there they have the 2 bedrooms that are going for about 600 plus. 3 bedrooms, 3 bedrooms are like 800 plus. So that's like on the Grand Carib side. Sunset's a little bit less, but it's like that quality of construction and whatnot. That's what
Blue Zen is really nice. Yeah. Have you been?
No, I've only, I mean, I passed it, I've been in pictures. Honestly, like, I haven't been to Caye Caulker much. I think last time was like when I saw you.
For you right?
And I've never spent the night there. Right? Every time we go over, like, oh, we're going to spend the night at some point. We're going to spend the night at some point.
Ready to come back home.
But I'm like, you know, then if you have your own boat, like you're chartering a boat or something, then they're going to come back at any time. Doesn't matter when the boat leaves, right? The main ferry. So, no, we haven't. But I know a lot of people go to Caye Caulker from San Pedro and will spend the night out there, or they'll charter a boat to take them to that Italian restaurant.
Really?
Do you know the Italian restaurant?
I mean, they have 2, so. But that's interesting. I had no idea people charter a boat to. Wow.
Yes, because they have, I guess it's the real Italians who own the Italian restaurant.
Okay, so I know which one it is. It's Pasta per Caso.
That sounds about right.
Yeah. So that's interesting. I'm going to post a photo here of what Pasta per Caso looked like when they had just opened up. They could only seat like 8 people.
Oh, wow. And what are they at now?
Maybe like 20.
Oh, so it's still a small field.
Yeah, and every half an hour, or I think it was like every hour, like your time slot to eat there was like every hour, and then they had to like change people out because they had like limited space. They did eventually expand, and now they can fit like about 20 people, but it did take them like a long time to get to that point. I'd say at least like about 10 years or so.
Oh wow. Well, people do love it, and I guess they have like a set menu every day. Like, this is what the options are. It's not like
two options,
right? It's not like a full-on
vegan
menu.
and
regular.
Yeah.
Regular meat eaters.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, but people will do. They'll get the boat, and then they'll either spend the night up there, or the boat will have them.
I had no
back
idea.
There in the morning. Yep.
No wonder everyone is so nicely dressed when I pass by. Like that makes sense.
It's a special night out.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But we don't have a true Italian place here. There's a restaurant, Blue Water Grill, that'll do Italian night on Thursday, I think it is. But if you want Italian, you're craving that penne alla vodka on a Friday, you have nowhere to go here.
You know what Caye Caulker does not have? We don't have somewhere for sushi.
Oh.
We don't have a sushi place.
Does Giotto ever do a pop-up there?
No.
Oh, that's a bummer. Toshia, you should, if you're listening to this.
Yeah.
But we have a few sushi. Well, one dedicated sushi restaurant, and then a couple of other restaurants will do the pop-up. And it's so funny that there isn't, because there's fresh fish like right out there.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe no one knows how to make sushi. I have no idea. I know at one point El Ben, which is another development on the north side. It's not a condo development, it's a hotel. They were offering sushi on Friday nights. I don't know if they still do it. I don't know if the demand was high enough. I'm not sure. But that was the closest we got to having sushi on Caye Caulker.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, we've seen a lot here, like a lot of new restaurants pop up. I still feel like there's not necessarily. Well, I'm from New York originally, so like trying to compare it.
I love New York.
Yeah, it's a great little place, great big place. But it's, I mean, obviously comparing it is just absolutely wrong, right? Because they're so totally different. But we have I'd say we have a good variety here on the island. I mean, there's so many people that, there's a bit of taste of everything for sure, but no Italian yet.
That is interesting. I had no idea. Like, we're just starting to have variety. There's this new restaurant that opened up called Shadow Benny, and they offer like Trinidadian food, which is pretty cool, I think. Yeah,
I've never heard
since
that
it's like Caribbean but still different. Yeah, and it looks like very Tulum-esque. Yeah, so I want to check it out. But apart from shout out to Tipsy. But apart from that, the food tends to be your normal like quesadillas, burgers, fries, wings, stuff like that. Yeah.
So where would you say, if someone's coming to Caye Caulker for the day or the night, where would you recommend that they eat?
If you're going to Caye Caulker for the day, then you're going more for ambience than the food, I would say, right? You're gonna want something along the water. So I would say Rainbow is really nice and refined. I will say Tipsy is really nice because like we have the beach beds and stuff like that. You can do the split or you can do sip and dip. Sip and dip has become pretty popular. I will say that if you go to Caye Caulker and you're there for the day, expect to wait about an hour for your food.
Okay. At those two places that you mentioned?
Every single location on the island. You're gonna wait at least an hour for the food. Our motto is go slow for a reason.
So what is the golf cart situation like there now? Are there more golf carts? Or not so much?
It's still not bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, like on Caye Caulker, I've never had a problem looking for parking ever in my life.
Well, I know that was something that you asked when you were finding the office here. You're like, is there parking?
Yeah, because I have a friend here and I'm like tagging along with someone. But this morning I was driving to Rachel myself and I was like along the front street and I couldn't find parking to save my life.
It's really chaotic.
It was the craziest thing I had ever seen. It was worse than Orange Walk. It was worse than the mainland. So that was pretty shocking for me, definitely. But you know, on Caye Caulker, it doesn't matter if we have tourists that like have money or do not have money. They just want this biking experience. Yeah, like they're specifically just gonna rent a bike for the day and then they're gonna ride to like the south of the island and then the north of the island, and typically, it's a big biking culture there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I like that. I mean, that's nice, and it's, I guess too, because Caye Caulker is not huge, right?
So
you can
so tiny.
Bike around it. And I know a lot of people have said, and I don't know this because I wasn't around here at that point, but a lot of people are saying that Caye Caulker is what San Pedro was like
20 years
30 years ago.
Yeah.
Where the sandy streets and
I remember when San Pedro got their cobblestones.
Everyone was do people like it?
Yeah.
Do people want cobblestones?
No, they don't want it.
Change.
They don't want it. No. I still don't I don't know how I feel. You know what? I think if we can figure out how to deal with the roads during rainy season, we would be fine. But I don't know anything about fixing a street. So yeah.
So it may stay like that for a while. It does add to the charm of it, right? Is being able to walk on the sandy streets. And there you can see pictures of San Pedro before there were the cobblestones here. And it is a totally totally
different
place.
vibes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what you get in Caye Caulker. What would you say? When was the last time before this visit that you came out to
San Pedro?
Uh-huh.
You know, as of recently, I've been visiting San Pedro a lot.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
So what is like anything surprised you like between these last visits and the one that you made like longer time ago?
I'm learning San Pedro a bit more. Yeah, I'm learning San Pedro a bit more. But apart from that, I feel like I'm in a big city when I come to San Pedro. And it's not to say that, like, I love Caye Caulker and I love it for completely different reasons. I'm either like a beach gal or a very big city gal, like LA or New York kind of person, right? I have like no in between. I have no in between. So if I'm not flying to so I love Caye Caulker. I love that I can walk everywhere, that I have water sports. It's like easy to run into people I know, like someone I know owns a boat, you know, blah, blah, blah. It's like, it's nice.
It's very small town.
Yeah. I can just walk down the street, get my cafe, like my coffee. I don't need a golf cart. I don't need a bike. Like I can actually walk and get my 10,000 steps in. Versus here, I will say that when I catch a man, they want to charge me 10 US per mile for a taxi here.
Oh yeah, the taxis are expensive.
per mile.
Is that how they're doing it now?
Yeah.
Is that what they tell you, how they gauge it?
Yeah, maybe I look like a gringa. Maybe.
Yeah, you do. You definitely do.
Yeah, I look like a gringa, so I don't know if I'm getting
Did
like...
you bust out the Creole?
Yeah, I try, you know? But it doesn't matter because even if you're a Belizean and you're like, you don't look Belizean if you look a bit lighter, they still think you're like a rich Belizean. And so they're still gonna charge you like,
the gringo price.
Yeah. Yeah, it does not help whatsoever. 10 US per mile.
Yeah, that's pricey.
So I can appreciate that when I'm on Caye Caulker, I don't need a bike, I don't need a golf cart. It's just like an added benefit if you have that. But what were we talking about? What was
anything that surprised you from Ambergris about like these last visits versus the longest stretch of time that you have been
yeah. So I was saying that I'm either like a very like islandy gal like Caye Caulker, or I love big cities. And what I love about San Pedro is that I get to visit like grand places like honestly like Blue Water Grill or Mahogany Bay or just places that have like a nice big bar like Wine Divine and stuff like that. And
do you have a wine and cheese place?
No, like we don't have any of those things. And I love cocktails. Like if I'm gonna drink something, it's not gonna be rum and coke, okay? It's not gonna be rum and coke. It's not gonna be rum punch. Like I do want my espresso martini. I want my like
city life has done good for you.
Yeah, like I want my espresso martini. I want my spicy margarita. And those like I don't know, you can't find that on Caye Caulker.
Right.
So it's like a breath of fresh air when I come to San Pedro and I can choose my favorite cocktails. And even on the mainland, that's something that's so difficult to find unless you're in Belize City. Right. Like you're not gonna get that. The only other place is San Pedro.
Yeah, it's true. And I mean, it makes sense in a way because tourism center here on the island. So you get a majority of the tourists who are coming, a lot of hotels, right? When you look at the number of developments here compared to any other place in the country, it's just unbelievably so many more here, right? And so as a result, you're gonna have more choice, more variety. You're gonna be catering towards a larger group of people because you have that range, right? We're not just backpackers, we're not just retirees, we're the families and honeymooners and just a big variety
like an eclectic group of people.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So you know what? If you want to buy property, buy one on Caye Caulker, buy one on San Pedro.
Well, I have a client who's doing exactly that.
Oh, really?
Yeah, his primary home is going to be on Caye Caulker.
Oh, that is so funny.
And then he wants like his vacation spot out here in San Pedro. And he's like, well, I'll be there in Caye Caulker, and that's where I'm going to operate my business from. And then I'll come out to San Pedro on the weekends, and his plan is to get a boat and the whole thing, right? So he'll come out on the boat and take people and come out here and enjoy his weekend. So
that's actually my plan too.
And it really is a great plan because the islands just have that different feel. And like you were saying, like Caye Caulker is a lot more laid back. The motto there is go slow. Yeah. And I think it's kind of ironic too when we like talk about Ambergris being crazy and busy and no parking, and then Caye Caulker being quieter because like when you're coming from the States and if you're coming from like New York or LA, like we were talking about, and you come to Ambergris, it's like, it's so quiet. Like it's relaxing, it's beautiful.
That is so funny.
And then you take a step over to Caye Caulker and you're like, whoa,
that is a big difference. Yeah.
But they're both islands have their charms. It just depends what somebody's looking for.
In my my roots are from Caye Caulker. So on my mom's side, my dad's side is from Orange Walk. So I have so much love for the place. Like it's where I was born and raised. I remember when I was growing up and everyone would be like, Caye Caulker is so boring. You need to come to San Pedro. Yeah. And now it's so funny to see how much these Belizeans like actually enjoy going to Caye Caulker now. Like, I don't want to say that there's a shift because people enjoy both, right? But the amount of people that are like acknowledging Caye Caulker now is crazy. Yeah. Now people ask me if I have a free room for them. So
they weren't asking that.
No, they're like, oh, Caye Caulker, you're going to Caye Caulker. So totally
it's so quiet and boring there.
Yeah, that's exactly what they would say. So
well, and I asked you, you said that they have a club now, right?
Yeah, they always had a club, but they have 2 now.
Okay.
Yeah. So in terms of nightlife, there used to be a flow for like the entire day on Caye Caulker. Like if you wanted to run into people, you would know where to run into people.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the flow was like you're either doing like a tour during the day, or if you're not doing a tour, you're gonna be at the split, right? Then after you finish the split, you would do sunset at Iguana Reef.
Right.
After sunset at Iguana Reef, you go home, you shower, change, you do dinner, and then you head over to the sports bar 10 to 12. Then once that's finished, if you still want to party, then you head over to I&I. Like there was one singular like path to follow, right? Like if you didn't follow that, you're not gonna see anyone. Like everywhere else would be basically dead. Yeah. I even have my cousin who met her boyfriend because she knew where he would be because there's just like the flow, you know? Like she knew where the guy would be that she met the night before. You can't do that on San Pedro. Yeah.
Not as easily. No. On the weekends, I feel like here, right, you know, you go to sunset around 10, like the 10 to 12 range. I don't really know where else people go if they don't go to sunset from the 10 to 12 range. And then there's like two clubs now.
Oh,
there used to be more, right? Like Daddy Rocks and Jaguars.
Oh,
and all so those are both closed. So those people can't go there. So they'll go to Lure, which is the primary one that people go to, and then Live. I've never been to it, but I understand that that's like a club scene as well.
Shout out to Viv.
Yeah, yes.
Yeah.
So it's not like, you know, it's not like there's tons of nightlife here, but I think from the most part, a lot of people when they're coming here, it's like the tours, right? They're doing the activities during the day. They're up early with the sun at 5:36, going to bed around midnight, if not earlier than that. I know I'm in bed like 9 p.m., but
that is another difference between the tourists who go on tours on Caye Caulker versus San Pedro. Because what I've learned, I thought everyone on San Pedro still did this, because there was a point where like San Pedranos, where like the tours on San Pedro were like the full day whole chan tour.
Right.
Like everyone was doing that, Caye Caulker and San Pedro, right? And now I've learned that almost no one does the full day tour on San Pedro, and everyone just charters a boat and does like whatever they want.
Well, and especially because down here we get a lot of big groups coming, whether it's families or couples who are traveling together, or just people who don't want to deal with anyone else on their boat. Yeah. And they want a little bit more flexibility as to where they're going and when they're going. Yeah. You know, and so like maybe they'll go to Holchan or they'll go to Mexico Rocks to snorkel. All right, everyone, we're gonna pause right there. We have a ton of great information coming up in part 2. You will want to listen to it. You are gonna access that by going to Giselle's Facebook page. The link is also below right there in the description, so you don't have to look too far, but you will want to stay tuned and listen to part 2. Just make sure you click that link below, and then when you get to her page, also make sure you're clicking subscribe for all of the other great information that Giselle shares on her YouTube page.